Welcome to the After Buzz with your host, Brandon Coates.
Hi, everybody.
I was just talking to Scott. Scott's got the he's got the sound on the computer on.
Oh, you can't do that.
Oh man, so I think Scott and I are a little gassed today. How much sleep did you get last night?
Not enough.
Yeah, I barely got any, and let me tell you why. I specifically didn't tell anybody this on the show this morning, but my ankle was all fucked up last night.
What'd you do?
I don't know. Went to bed. So I've been kicking at the gym, you know, shit like that. But here's the thing. No problems with it whatsoever yesterday. Nothing hurt at the gym. Nothing hurt afterwards. Everything moving just fine. And then randomly at about 12:15 last night, the pain in my ankle was so bad, it fucking woke me up.
Wow.
And I'm trying to block the pain out. I'm trying to go back to sleep. Nothing's working. And I'm sitting there. I'm tossing and turning. And at this point, I got to be keeping my girlfriend up because I'm fucking squirming around, like right next to her. So eventually it does wake her up, and she's a physical therapist. So immediately she's like, well, just let me wrap the damn thing. And I'm like, no, I'll be fine. And like 5 minutes goes by, I'm still squirming around, and eventually I get up and she gets up and she wraps the ankle. Excruciating pain. I think I maybe got 20 minutes of sleep last night.
Sweet.
The only reason I know I actually fell asleep is because I had dreams. All work related, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
How fucked up is that?
Fuck that shit.
So, excruciating pain, I get up, I'm hobbling around, and I've already told, I'm not saying anything to anybody at work because clearly we're still fucking jinxed here, and I just want this thing to kind of go away. So as I'm walking...
Curse of the Beatles.
Yeah. So as I'm walking from my car to the back door here in our building, all of a sudden something in my, I guess it would be the ankle foot area, something pops. And it's fucking loud. Because I don't know exactly where it came from, because it actually like shook my whole foot and it went pop. It sounded like somebody like cracking a knuckle, but louder. And it fucking dropped me like a rock. Like I stepped down and something popped, and I ass over tea kettle right there on the stairs.
Awesome.
So I'm a little freaked out because I'm like, holy fuck, like did I pop like my Achilles or something? Because it like, and just shooting pain straight up my fucking leg into my hip, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck? And then I stand up, everything feels better. Wow. Like it's not healed, it's still tender and it still hurts, but something needed to do that, and it popped, and that was how my morning started here.
That
so yeah,
sounds fucked up.
So that's why I am rather gassed a little bit today. You know, a little bit tired. It happens. But anyway, so we have a few things that we can talk about today. So Nico is filling in. He's doing the phone screening for us and stuff. And Nico...
Wait, is he showing up and actually doing that?
Well, here's the thing. So Nico showed up at about 5:10. He's texting me at 4:55, almost there. I'm like, this is when you should be here.
That's
like if the
right.
shift starts at 5, this is when you should be here.
Already.
Because we're trying to finagle it so that he's able to get paid. We're going to compensate him in some way, shape, or form. He still shows up 10 minutes late. But anyway, so we were doing the contest today, and it's the Batman and Harley Quinn digital download, and the contest is who said it, Trump or the Joker.
Okay.
So Buzz says we're going to take caller 12. First of all, Nico, we had to yell at him to turn his microphone off at least twice, if not 3 or 4 times. Yeah, you hear the whole Buzz Adams Morning Show. And so Buzz says we're going to take caller 12. And I'm kind of looking at the phone lines, and I see them all light up. And then I see the first 3 phone calls get put on hold. And I'm like, what the hell's going on in there? So Buzz is still talking. I can see Nico across the way where Joanna usually sits, and I'm signaling for him to come over. So he comes over, and I mentioned, I go, did you already get caller 12? And he's like, no. I was going to ask you, how do you count callers?
What do you mean?
Yeah.
Like?
He was legitimately asking, how do I count the callers? So I go, Buzz Adams Morning Show, your caller number 1. Click. Buzz Adams Morning Show, your caller number 2. click, and then you get to number 12, and then that's the first person you put on hold. This did not even come close to entering his brain as a way to do this.
Wow.
Because he says, well, we only have three lines. How am I supposed to get to caller 12? Nico Jimmy, ladies and
All
gentlemen.
right. Well done. I'm so glad we're going to pay him now.
Well, so he's helping out. He did okay. I think he also realized that having actual work to do on the show is a little bit more difficult than strolling in at 7:30 and randomly blurting things out that have nothing to do with the conversation that we're talking about. So anyway, we're going to get to a few more topics here. We'll keep this one relatively short. If there's anything you want to bring up here in the actual AfterBuzz, you can bring it up in the Facebook Live chat. Somebody's complaining about the dialogue, just NWS. What is that?
Not work safe.
Well, fucking go away then.
Oh.
Figured that was obvious that the AfterBuzz is not going to be safe for work. Thankfully, you can check it out later when you're at home. It's going to go up on YouTube, baby.
It'll be on YouTube as soon as
Oh, and speaking of which, kind of sidetrack here a little bit, the issues we've been having with cameras and such. So Scott's been busting his ass to get this fancy new camera setup done.
It's so sexy.
It's pretty sweet. And for anybody who's previously complained, I will actually have a camera in my studio.
That's
It's
right.
not going to be a camera shooting through a window, looking at me through 40 different things. We set it up so it's directly in front of me. The only problem is we get everything set up, everything's all swanky, fancy, and the computer's not powerful enough to run the
Badass camera.
yeah, to run the cameras.
So we're actually today.
Ooh, today.
We got. Hold on, so people can see who I am. Hi, it's me. So later today, we've got somebody come in, and we're going to be hanging a 360 camera that can shoot and just rotate and shoot in any angle. So you'll be able to see the entire studio when we're done. And you know, we got a few tricks up our sleeve, but the problem is the computer that we have is not good enough to handle what we put together. So as soon as the new computer comes in, we'll be able to upgrade, I guess you could say. It's like getting a Christmas present that you can't play with until St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah. And that's kind of, we're at the mercy of corporate right now to when they approve the new camera, or the new computer for the cameras, right? Isn't that where we're kind of stuck at?
No, actually, they've approved it. We have to custom build it.
Wait, they did approve it?
Damn right.
Oh, nice. All right, well, let's hurry up, Scott. Let's get
Hey, it's up.
see, look, I'm all excited. Let's chop chop.
It's out of my hands.
Well, anyway, so that's kind of where we're at because we've had a lot of people asking questions. Why are we not Facebook Live for the Facebook Live for the show and stuff like that? Because then what happened was we had all the new cameras set up, and then when we went back to the old camera setup, we haven't been able to get it to work. Scott tested it yesterday, worked out fine for Scott. This morning I was in there with Lisa, nothing's working. Like all of the things that you need to actually do in the steps, it's not working. So we're going to take a look at it again, and hopefully we'll be back up on Facebook Live tomorrow.
I think I know what it is.
Robert asks, Buzz get some new teeth yet? He did. He's got, so what it is, it's kind of like a mouth guard. It's really thin plastic, thin clear plastic that goes on the top of his teeth. And this is what's interesting is he busted 3 of the top teeth out. But inside this plate, this mouth guard that goes on the top row of his teeth, they just kind of made one of the teeth bigger. So it's just there's 2 teeth in place of where 3 teeth should be. And he goofs around with it all the time. Oh, and it's fucking gross.
Oh yeah.
He'll just leave it. So when the show's over and I have to go do work by where he sits, there's just his mouth guard with the 2 teeth sitting there.
You know he can't be like brushing that.
Oh, it's disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. And he wonders why we call him disgusting. That right there, perfect example.
All that work we did to clean up this side of the room.
Kim wants to know, where did we get all of the money from? Scott started hooking on the weekends.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tiring work. but
That's
it's
why he's
fun.
tired now,
Yeah,
but
I'm a little worn out.
he's able to get Lloyd a new diamond-studded collar and leash,
Yeah.
and he's going to upgrade his car. And not by getting a new car. He's going to put 22-inch rims on his
Oh
Matrix.
yeah, absolutely. And I'm gonna get a hot tub in the back and a widescreen TV.
A different Robert asks, is Buzz still riding the bike? Yeah, he is. Which, okay, here we go. This is why he claims that his hair looks red. And this is what stinks about not having the live cameras, so that we'd be able to see how his hair changes color, because his hair is generally black or dark brown. I noticed it yesterday because it was somebody dyed his hair red. It's that obvious. His claim is when he is out in the sun, his hair changes color. I kind of understand the claim, because when I had hair, mine did the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, that does happen.
And mine was pretty drastic as well. Mine, during the wintertime, it was really dark brown, and then during the summer, it would turn almost to like a copper color.
Okay.
A little bit of a ginger, this guy, right here. A little bit of a ginger. I have part of soul, is what I have. I have part of a soul.
Partial soul.
And so, that's his claim. But what we're thinking is the only problem with that, he just got a haircut on Monday. Because yesterday morning was when we noticed the dye job that he claims isn't a dye job. If you get a haircut, the stuff that's underneath isn't exposed to the sun.
Right.
So how would that hair have changed color? Yeah, see, that's, I don't know.
Interesting.
It seems a little wonky to me. But he's claiming he didn't get his hair dyed. Hopefully tomorrow we'll be back up on the Facebook Live during the show, and you guys can take a look for yourselves. And especially with the camera, the way that angles down on him, you'll be able to see the old top of the head right there. And that thing will be flaming red. So yeah, so that's where we're at on that. And again, if anybody has anything that you want in the chat here on Facebook Live, just go ahead, chime right in. And
yeah. Adrian asks about stuff going on in Duranguito. Overreaction or no?
I don't really care.
Total overreaction.
Yeah, I don't really care.
Yeah.
But another thing I was gonna bring up here was so I watched this episode of something that's on Vice. I can't remember what the heck this thing was called, but it was on Bam Margera yesterday. I gotta remember, what was this thing called? Epically Latered. Not really sure what the name of that means, but you kind of get to see where he is now. And if you haven't followed Bam Margera over the past few years, dude's gone through some shit. I guess the big turning point was obviously when Ryan Dunn passed away.
Yeah.
And he got big, like he got like super blown up, and I guess now he's over living in, I think it's Spain or Italy. He's over in Europe somewhere. And he had to retrain how to skate. Basically, they did...
Yeah, because his whole center of gravity is different now.
Not even that. The doctor told him, when he went to the doctor, that he drank so much alcohol, his leg muscles were like worn out rubber bands. And it would just take the slightest movement, and they could snap at any moment. So he was kind of in danger. In having that happen. But anyway, so it was a really interesting documentary into following him when he was a kid, how he was like this 13-year-old that was always around, that was a really good skater, and then into the CKY videos, which then led to Jackass, which then led to Viva La Bam. Did you ever watch Viva La Bam, Scott?
Kind of on and off.
So you knew the premise.
Yeah.
It was really just Jackass with it was CKY and Jackass combined.
Right.
Where he bought his own house, and it was just them doing crazy stunts and stuff. And actually, Buzz now owns, I think, most of the DVDs of Viva La Bam, because I owned them and I sold them to him.
Nice.
But he still owns that house, the big castle house. He still owns it. His mom goes by it every now and then, and they go to it. And some of the stories that they're talking about is how it got to the point where they would like run out of Coke, and not rum and Coke, and some guy would call a friend of theirs. He would bring over some, and then they would bring over some. And it was one nonstop party constantly at this house, and it just became a train wreck for him. And one of the guys that's been through some shit too, who's kind of come out on the other side, was Brandon Novak, a good friend of Bam Margera's. And it was just a really interesting documentary on him, what he's had to go through trying to learn how to skate to the point where he couldn't even do ollies and stuff, just the simplest of tricks. He was so uncoordinated and his leg muscles were so weak, he couldn't do any of that stuff. So he's starting from square one at that point. And he was even saying there's certain stuff that he hasn't done. It's been 10 years since he'd been on a skateboard. So,
damn.
And it looks like he's finally starting to slim down a little bit. But yeah, there was a point where he was pudgy. And and his mom even gets into it a little bit, where she talks about how he, right around Viva La Bam, his whole thing was he wanted that lean looking figure, and he was bulimic. He would go drink, and then he'd go eat dinner, and then he would get up to go to the restroom, and his mom finally asked him, she's like, "Are you throwing up?" And he was like, "Yeah." He's like, "I can't gain any weight." Because I guess if you're a Margera, they explain this in the documentary, you go one of two ways. You can stay skinny because his dad, his brothers, a couple of them stayed skinny, and then there's his dad, and if you don't remember Don Vito, the perv, they obviously ballooned the hell up, and that was what Bam was afraid of. He was afraid of becoming like that.
I don't know though. I'm glad Phil was that big, because as many times as Bam beat the crap out of him, it probably really helped.
Yeah, he was able to take it a little bit. So, no, it was really interesting. It's on Vice. I'm not sure when it airs, but the whole episode is available online. All you have to do is look up Epically Latered Bam Margera. It's pretty interesting. It was well worth checking out.
Bam was like my least favorite person, however.
Out of the Jackass crew?
The whole Jackass crew. I really disliked it.
See, me is Preston Lacey.
Oh, well,
it was just kind of like,
that's another good one.
It was just kind of, hey, we got a fat guy, so let's make fun of how fat he is.
Yeah.
But he was probably my.
No, the other guys seemed like they were just like, they were cool guys, they were having fun, but Bam seemed to me to be actively an asshole.
Yeah, I think it came off that way. Yeah.
You know, maybe Steve-O a little bit, but definitely Bam the most was just like he just liked to make people
miserable. Yeah. And that's kind of the way that it came off. I do know that none of them liked Aaron McGeehee for a time. Because Aaron's from Portland. And right when Jackass was making it big was when, right around the same time I started getting into radio. So I interned for this one show where we hung out with Aaron a few times. And the dude he's just weird and awkward anyway. Like, that's naturally him. And if you watch any of the DVD commentary, they hate on Portland. For the Jackass, the first movie, if you watch with the commentary turned on, they just bash the shit out of the city of Portland. They fucking hate the city of Portland.
Shit, that's funny.
No idea if they like it now because it's become a hipster town, but at that time they fucking hated it. And you could tell for the most part they thought Aaron was a fucking idiot. It was a jackass.
Good times.
But anyway, so let me just go through this here. Can you watch Facebook Live later on if I have to work? Robert asks, no, because the video will be taken down, but the video will then go to YouTube, and you can watch it there if you like. Were you guys at the Guns N' Roses concert? No, because I had to work.
I went to see ZZ Top, which was awesome, but then I left.
Did you leave before Guns N' Roses even came out?
Yeah.
So you didn't see any of it?
No, I had zero desire to see Guns N' Roses.
Okay. And then, so mine was, I had a birthday party and work that needed to be tended to, so I was going to go check out Guns N' Roses. And I didn't trust it. I heard they were on time, and they were actually a little bit early, but when I went to go see Guns N' Roses, when it was basically Axl with Buckethead.
Oh, yeah.
It was 2 hours late. 2 hours late.
Classic Axl.
I ain't got time for that, but I guess this time he was on. He was there on time, ready to go, rock and roll, baby.
I did meet the guys from Boba Flex yesterday, though. Super cool dudes.
Yeah.
Super cool.
I like Boba Flex. Boba Flex is good shit.
We've got some videos coming up later this week at our YouTube page. So if you're a big Boba Flex fan, they did a great show for us.
Fantastic.
Little acoustic mini show.
So we'll give you about 60 seconds here if anybody has anything that they want to say. Any questions or anything else like that they got to bring up? We already answered the questions about the Facebook live stream. Hopefully that'll be back up tomorrow.
Yeah,
new camera setup, which I didn't know that they approved I didn't know that they approved the computer, because the last email I saw, I think, was the one from you, Scott, saying if you know these specific guys and you can grease these wheels, then do everything you can.
Exactly. We can only imagine, because the guy who runs our engineering is a genius, but he's also dealing with 300 other stations who all want little things, so he's just constantly in a pissy mood.
Yeah, being bombarded.
Yeah, and I get it. You know, like he's got to micromanage all of these different markets.
And he's got to deal with Daver.
But we just, they approved the cameras, and we thought, oh, okay, well, that was a freebie. And we were like, well, they're definitely not going to approve a computer. And then it turns out,
I guess it did.
Like, yeah, we
just have to build it, which is even better because then we get to build it to our own specifications, which is nice.
Yeah, so hopefully it'll be done before we get back onto YouTube, but we'll see. In the meantime, then...
fingers crossed.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
So Blanca wants to know, when are you all going to your other markets? We just spoke about this again. We've talked about it multiple times. It's not as easy to just go to another station and broadcast from there.
Yeah, it's a real pain in the butt.
It's almost easier. It's more expensive, but it's easier. And something that we were talking about doing is a kind of a road trip, but we don't want to give away too many details right now. But it's in the works, and we have no idea when it's actually going to happen because we've been in the other markets now for almost 2 years. It's been, I believe, since November 2nd or 3rd
Something like that, yeah.
of 2015. That's when the network went live. So,
but we keep having it's always something. Like it's just this person leaves, and we've got to wait until we've got a full cast again, and then or like somebody falls and loses their teeth.
Yeah, there's always something popping up, but it's in the works, and definitely when we do it, we're going to we'll announce it. And it's going to be pretty cool. Kim asks, if you could, would you go volunteer in Florida? If I could, absolutely. I would volunteer there in a heartbeat. Yeah. I just would never fucking live there again. Not a chance. I'd go volunteer and help out, but not a chance that I would ever go live there again. Fernando wants to know when we're giving away tickets to A Perfect Circle. I don't know.
When we know, you'll know.
Yeah. We don't usually keep these things secret. When we find out, we'll let you know. Kim wants to know, am I liking American Horror Story? Honestly, I haven't watched it yet. I'm still trying to get through The Defenders. I have maybe 20 minutes a day that I can watch, that I have time to watch television.
Fatherhood.
Blanca asks why I live there again. Because Florida blows dick. That's the bottom line. Florida sucks to live in. It's a shithole. It's filled with a bunch of assholes, and the weather sucks. That's it.
Don't leave Blanca, no!
But if you have a job or if you're retired and you're a snowbird, they kind of got the right idea. You live down in Florida for the winter when the weather's actually nice, and then you get the fuck out during the hurricane season when it's hot as balls. And that's what makes people miserable, I think, is the humidity down there. People are just fucking assholes down there. They're just not nice. Do you know how many times walking places and you're going into a store, somebody directly in front of you, they won't hold the door for you? Like, that to me tells you the kind of place that you're at. That's right. Is whether or not somebody's going to hold the door for you. And that's the kind of place Florida is. It's filled with pieces of shit.
I think it is. I think it's the humidity, because Louisiana is a lot the same way, and I don't want to go back there either.
Andres wants to know about my thoughts on this year's New England Patriots team. The thing that I thought was going to kill them at the very beginning, which was what killed them on Thursday Night Football, was they have no pass rush. Chris Long left, Jabal Sheard left, Rob Ninkovich retired. They were moving Dante Hightower over to a position that he's never played before, over on the edge. So it's a work in progress. And the whole 19-0 talk, I thought was kind of bullshit to begin with, because you can't take that many pieces away from a team and add this many new guys and think that they're just going to be perfectly fine and pick up where they left off. It's going to take time. I'm even nervous about it. They're playing the Saints, actually, this Sunday, Scott.
All right.
And it's in New Orleans. Cool. So, no, I mean, it's going to take some time. They'll probably get back to where it was. I still think that they're going to be one of the teams to beat. You just got to get their shit together a little bit. I mean, and there's some of those plays, it was just obvious miscommunication on defense. That gigantic play to Tyreek Hill was when Stephon Gilmore, for some reason, was looking this way, and he thought Devin McCourty was over the top. McCourty wasn't over the top. McCourty started to creep in, which left Tyreek Hill with nobody within 15 yards of him. And Alex Smith, he could have heaved that ball anywhere within the 15 yards, and Tyreek Hill would have caught it. So it was simple miscommunication. The biggest issue they're going to have is their pass rush. Whether or not they can, they have Trey Flowers. That dude will be one of the tops in the sack leaders this year, but he's the only guy that can get to the quarterback, and they need to get more than just him.
I'm one of the tops in the sack leaders too.
Yes, Scott's got great sacks.
That's right.
And then finally, to wrap up, Adrian asks, what's a decent vacation spot in Florida, and when is a good time to go? It kind of depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for more active life, lots of things to do, you can go to Miami, Fort Lauderdale. Either one is perfectly fine. Miami's a little bit more expensive. They're both very equally the same in regards to the kind of stuff you're going to get. You're going to get more high-profile stuff, obviously, down in Miami, but Fort Lauderdale, it's still crowded there. It's not as crowded and not quite as expensive. If you want to go just relax and chill by the beach, go to, I would suggest, Fort Myers. Fort Myers is beautiful. Obviously, right now, be a little iffy, because that was one of the places that really got hit by Irma. But I loved every spring, I would go over to Fort Myers, and I'd watch Twins spring training game and go spend a day at the beach every March for my birthday weekend. I would go do that, and it was fantastic. Fort Myers was great. If you want to go to the theme parks, just go to Orlando. You've got Disney World and Universal right there, and you can spend an entire week there and have an absolute blast in Orlando. So you kind of got those 3 spots that are pretty sweet that I would say you could vacation to. Just don't ever move there.
Don't move.
Andre says, what about TB12's weapons? They're going to get it together. It's unfortunate that Amendola went down with a concussion on Thursday, which really left a hole on the slot. But you still have Gronk, you still have Cooks, you still have Hogan, you still have all the running backs. Personally, I would like to see them trade off one of the running backs for an edge rusher, whether it's Dion Lewis, who I guess teams have been calling the Patriots about potentially trading for Dion Lewis, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if they make some sort of a trade to try to bring somebody in to help bolster that defense on that side of the ball.
Oh, Julian asked if we're going to play D&D again.
Oh, fantastic. Yes, we are actually. We just talked about it. We are going to be playing coming up on September 23rd out at Military Gamer Supply. I believe 6 o'clock is when we're doing it. So we'll be qualifying people to come and play with us. We're going to try to do something similar. I'm not sure about the giveaways that they'll be doing, because last time, they got like a starter kit and some cool stuff like that. Not sure if we're going to be able to get our hands on that stuff this time, but we will be qualifying 2, 3, 4 people. You can come play with us. You can sit down and play the game. It's going to be myself, Nico, and Joanna. And as always, like we did before, anybody which shocked me a little bit, anybody who wants to come sit in and watch us play D&D, you are more than what. I mean, we had a studio audience of almost 20-something people last time.
Yeah. We'll totally let you come and sit and hang with us.
So by all means, if anybody wants to come on out, you're more than welcome to. But on that note, Scott, you got anything?
Be sexy, everybody.
Scott says be sexy, and keep your fingers crossed. We'll be back on the live stream tomorrow during the show, and then really keep your fingers crossed that we get the computer done so we can get the fancy cameras by the time we're back up on YouTube. On that note, peace out, suckers. See you next week.